Oh,
Boom.
boom. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double A Team Podcast Live Stream Edition. I'm your host, Stephen Negishi, and thank you for joining us on this Monday night, 9/8 Central. Sorry, we're a little bit late on our start time as normal, but I got to say that today is the official first day of the legal tampering, whatever the hell that means, of the NFL free agency, even though we've been kind of, knowing who is going where and all that kind of stuff. And anybody who was released before yesterday was free to sign elsewhere, which is kind of a weird thing too, of course. But we'll get to all those moving parts, not just with the Bears, but also NFC North rivals, what they did, and also focus on, what the rest of the league did as well. Thank you for joining me once again, and thanks to my guests who are joining me here. My friend Rishab Skiri, the Bears YouTuber, joining me from his YouTube channel, The Windy City Production, and also from the host of Professionally Profane podcast. We're not live?
I was checking on my Twitter. It's not like, I think his Twitter's been down the whole day. Like, it's not.
Oh no!
If you look at this,
Definitely live on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
On Twitter, it's just saying not available. Sadly,
That's weird. I'm seeing the same thing with my name here. So this is usually temporarily, huh?
Twitter's been like horrible today. We were trying to start a space.
I know, right?
It
is. It has been really, really weird. For some reason. So
That's unfortunate.
it is. It is indeed unfortunate. So, I'm
trying to think.
Hold on a second. Is Twitter is still going on live, right?
It just says unavailable for some reason. Let me try seeing from your end, Steve.
Right. It is also.
Yeah, I don't see anything on your Twitter account right now.
Okay, you got 3 people right. I got an error that says an error occurred on X on my end. It happened to me before as well. Okay, so let me try removing mine and try uploading it again, I guess.
Dude, I feel like it's Twitter's fault because Spaces also weren't working earlier today.
I know. We've been having some real difficult issues with the all right, let me try it again.
Okay, we got 6 people now. I wonder if they're all from YouTube.
No, it's from your channel, I guess. Hold on a second. Let me remove mine. All right, and then I'm going to upload maybe Ken's just to see if we can get it going.
Okay, we got.
Now we got everything going, but it's still only about
removing me and then adding me back.
You want me to do that?
Yeah, because.
All right, let me try it. All right, let me remove you and then add you back. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, hold on a second.
All right, getting off to a slow start on the next 9 polls.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's kind of a weird conundrum because of what's happening with the all the issues that we've had to deal with the Twitter tonight. So it's kind of a weird situation right now. So yeah, let me see. All right, so we got 5 people now joining through. Okay, now we got 11. Okay. Okay. All right. Now I think we're starting to get a lot of tractions, probably from your end of the bargain as well. Let me see what happens if I remove Ken's name and then probably my name uploaded while we're doing this. But in the meantime, thank you very much for joining us, folks. Really, really appreciate it with all the trouble that, Twitter has caused us today. Right now, it's all... let's see. Rishab's followers joining us. Thank you for joining us once again. All right, so let's get back on track, guys. Thanks for joining us once again. Let's talk about the emergency podcast we're doing tonight. The first day of NFL free agency or free agency frenzy or whatever the hell you want to call it. But guys, the Chicago Bears made their first move, signing Drew Dalman, the center from the Atlanta Falcons, 3-year, $42 million. This was the move that was been in the works for quite a while. And I'm really glad that the Bears finally got the center that has been a massive, massive problem ever since Olin Cruz retired, and then we got a few good years out of Cody Whitehair a couple of years ago before his body started to break down. Rishab, let me start with you. Drew Dalman signing. How do you feel about it? And the money that the Bears paid. Are you comfortable, happy with the signing? 3-year, $42 million. I think 28 is guaranteed. So basically, you have 2 years of Drew Dalman. The third year pretty much, I guess it's up.
Yeah, I feel really good about it. I mean, this is my number one target for the Bears to go after in free agency. I would say, after Khalil Mack. So I just think it made too much sense, right? Like the Bears had a massive need at center. Drew Dalman was the best center on the marketplace by a good amount. I mean, with his youth, with his abilities in run blocking, he's gotten better and better as a pass protector too, each of the last couple of years. And I just think like it made too much sense to finally get a veteran proven option at center in front of Caleb Williams. Like I was done with going after the budget guys like Coleman Shelton.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean we didn't get a good chance at Ryan Bates, dude? Put some respect on his name.
Wow, Ryan Bates, yeah, that
as
was
a backup. Dude, he's good as a backup. No, honestly, Ryan Bates is good as a backup. He's just not good as a starter, which was the problem with him. And we also had Lucas Patrick the year before that, Sam Mustipher the year before.
Right.
So it just had like horrible, absolute.
A bunch of Jason Kelsey's in here.
So the fact that we finally got somebody that's actually been good, like he's been a top 5 center for the past 5 years according to like PFF grades. If you believe in those, but regardless, like the people that watch him like really love him, and he also brings like leadership to this offensive line, because our offensive line has been relatively young the past couple of years. Like we had young guys like Darnell Wright, Braxton Jones, Tevin was also pretty young, but getting an older guy, he's only 26, Drew Dalman is, but like he's called out the protections, he's played a good amount of games for the Falcons, so I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not worried about the money either, because I was expecting up to like 16 million per year. So only paying 14 million is honestly pretty good. It's only for 3 years. The guarantee is really low, honestly. Like you could get rid of him after 2 years if it completely bombs, because that's 14 million per year right there in the next 2 years. So I'm not really worried about it, the money. I think it was a phenomenal signing by Ryan Poles.
Mm-hmm. Without question. I think when Trey Smith became unavailable, that became like the number one guy in the eyes of many people. And, I made that note clear on FanSided website as well. Philip, your thoughts on Drew Dalman signing, and any hesitations or concerns about maybe did the Bears made the right price, maybe the price-wise, 14 was a pretty good deal, or do you feel like maybe the Bears could have, gotten it for a lot less, or is this a classic case of, okay, it's a free agency, you always overpay?
I think it's a mix of a lot of things, but I feel like when you're the Chicago Bears and you haven't had the center down in about 10 years, well, I don't know how much is too much to finally lock down a position that hasn't been held down by a young, promising stud in like, a decade. So I honestly, I thought he was going to cost more than this. I thought that he was going to end up wanting to reset the market. I know that, people will say, oh, he's not better than Creed Humphrey. That's probably fine. But like, that doesn't mean that people don't get paid that way. People reset the market all the time. It's not about who's best. It's about who has the best agent, frankly. So, I mean, overall, I'm just really excited that Ryan Poles went out and got his guy. This year it was Drew Dalman instead of DeAndre Swift. I imagine that that's going to sit better for a lot of Bears fans. And yeah, man, I'm pumped. I'm so excited, especially with the other things that Ryan Poles did today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you fixed the three biggest issue on the offensive line entering this offseason. I think we may have already touched it last week. Jonah Jackson was acquired from the Rams for 6th-round pick, I believe, in this year's draft. And then the very next day, they acquired Joe Thuney from the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs for 4th-round pick in next year's draft. And you get Drew Dalman, the number one target that many people have been clamoring for, and they got what they wanted out of it. So now you have a legitimate offensive line fortifying in the middle in just less than a week or so. That has to be a very, very impressive job that Ryan Poles has certainly done. Phil, what do you think of the job that Ryan Poles and has finally gotten his act together, and how much of an influence do you think that Ben Johnson has had on this, offensive line makeover?
I think Ben Johnson. Well, I'll start with your second question. I think Ben Johnson had a lot to do with it. I think Ben Johnson definitely doesn't mince any words about what he wants from his players, what he wants from specific positions, and I think that he probably. I mean, I imagine he walked in day one and he probably laid Drew Dalman's name on Ryan Poles' desk. Said, "Hey, I want that dude. He's a free agent." So I mean, I'm extremely excited. I think it's awesome that Ryan Poles finally has a partner that has a room temperature. An IQ that's above room temperature. Sorry, man. Eddie Berflus. Hits forever. But. Yeah, I mean, Ben Johnson clearly has made an impact on Ryan Poles, but I already thought that Ryan Poles was a good GM from an operational standpoint. It just seems that this really is narrowed down maybe his focus on guys that he's not like taking project guys. He's not going bargain shopping. Now's not the time for that. That was year one, year two. We still did it last year, and people were mad about it. Well, nobody can say that this year. Ryan Poles went out and he attacked the trenches. I mean, he attacked him. He attacked him like Ben Johnson attacks a defense. He literally adopted the Ben Johnson mojo. So, I mean, if Ryan Poles has already done it, I mean, Kevin Warren did it to George McCaskey. I mean, it's going. I mean, people. Times are changing. Times are changing for Bears Nation. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to their second signing. Now, this guy was a little bit, brought some meh out of some people because obviously this guy was linked with the Bears for a bit over the weekend. I hope I'm not going to botch this player's name. Dayo Odeyingbo from the Colts, who was a former 2nd-round pick of the Indianapolis Colts out of Vanderbilt. In 2021, he had a career high, I think, 5.5 or 6 sacks this past season for the Indianapolis Colts. 6'6", close to 290. I think he was listed at 286 right now. Rishab, obviously the need for a pass rusher was is to be expected, whether it was in the free agency and in the draft. When was your honest opinion on Dayo Odeyingbo signing? Were you kind of scratching your head because you've never heard of the guy, or you were probably trying to wonder, how do I pronounce this guy's name?
Yeah, I knew about him only recently, honestly, because people are talking about him as a potential Bears free agent target. And I was kind of pushing back against the idea because I was like, we should sign Khalil Mack instead because it would make a lot more sense. Khalil Mack back to Los Angeles, there's nothing we could have done about that. But I'm honestly not too mad at it. Like, I think for sure, maybe like it's an overpay based on production because like he only has, a max of like I think 8 sacks in 2024 or 2023. I mean, and like last week only had 3 sacks, but sacks. The whole story, it's more based on pressures, and like the coverage can also determine like if you actually get a sack. So I'm not like crazy worried about him not being a good signing because Dennis Allen signed off on this. Like I trust Dennis Allen's defensive expertise and his ability to coach up a player that may still need to be coached up a little bit, because if you look at his profile, like he's super athletic, he's super long, super big overall. Like he's 260 pounds, or like he's really big player, obviously, right? So
Right.
some people say he can even play inside at like 3 technique sometimes on this defense, which would be pretty exciting to have that inside outside versatility, because it just changes like how the offensive line has to game plan against a defensive line. And even if he's only a good player, not a great player, and you paid him a little bit too much money, maybe, like I'd still rather overpay a good player than not have him at all and have to rely on Dominique Robinson or Austin Booker or, you know, one of those guys, because at the end of the day, the Bears had so much money to spend, and you got to spend it somewhere, right? Like you don't get an award for having the most cap space every year. So I think it made sense to sign somebody, but also not as excited, though, I would say, as the Drew Dalman signing.
Yeah, I think that this is a Dennis Allen signing special. I think this is what Dennis Allen wanted. It really fit the description of the defensive lineman that Allen has been looking for. So, you know, this is going to be a very interesting challenge, Phil. I think Dennis Allen certainly wanted the guys that that could be molded. I think, I think a lot of people are probably wondering, who is this guy, and then why was he available? And that's understandable. The production sometimes don't match the talent, and maybe this is one of those things where a guy like Allen can do magic, and I hope that maybe the Bears front office also saw it that way because of his young potential. He's 25 years old and probably turned 26 this upcoming season.
Absolutely, he's a massive human being as well. I mean, that's
Right.
a big man playing defensive end. So, and I mean, Montez Sweat's a fairly, big dude for a defensive end as well. So, I'm looking forward to seeing, adding Grady Jarrett as well down to that defensive line. Seeing what we, especially from a run stopping perspective, I'm really excited to just shut down any and all smash mouth football. And honestly, it's easy to wonder if this is a direct answer to what the Detroit Lions offer. I mean, Ben Johnson knows that the toughest, competition he has is probably coming from his old team. And if anybody knows how to stop his own scientific experiment, I mean, it's the classic case. He's got to kill what he created. So, I mean, I think that you were right on point by saying that this is a Dennis Allen special. And it's another reason why I'm so glad that we hired that dude, because I'm excited to have an evil genius scheming stuff up for our NFC North rival foes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we'll get to the draft question a bit. I know because Alejandro just posted about the 10th pick overall, considering now we have a little bit of a better picture in terms of the 10th pick overall, and then that the Alejandro brought it up. Thank you very much for the questions tonight. So we'll get to that. And then finally, this was actually somewhat of a out of nowhere, blue signing, I should say. Grady Jarrett, who was released from the Atlanta Falcons, I believe, yesterday or over the weekend, Saturday, one of those days. A 10-year veteran who is somebody who was very popular within that community because he played at Clemson. I believe his father was Jesse Tuggle, a former All-Pro linebacker with the Atlanta Falcons. So he's got strong heritage through his father playing for the same team as Grady Jarrett did. He became available, and then the Bears pounced on it. 3 years, $43.5 million. I don't know the exact amount of money that this is guaranteed for. He is a 10-year veteran who has played 10 years, 32 years old, close. He did suffer a ACL injury back in 2023, but he managed to pull through and has been relatively healthy. So, Rishab, I'm going to start with you. Grady Jarrett signing.
$28.5 million guaranteed.
How much?
$28.5 million guaranteed.
Oh, 28.5. Okay, so that's basically 2 years worth of a salary. So thanks for that, Phil. Rishab, your thoughts on Grady Jarrett signing and your feelings when the Bears actually pounced on Jarrett?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I didn't think he would be available entering free agency. I think, nobody really thought he'd be available because he was just a last second cut. And I think it just makes too much sense. Like, I wanted the Bears to go after another interior defensive lineman. I didn't think he would be.
Right, maybe Jonathan Allen or something like that too.
I didn't think it would be one as good as Grady Jarrett based on his former production. How good he's playing against the run most years. He's getting older. He's 31 years old, I think. So, he's probably going to start to slow down a little bit, but he's, last year was fully healthy. He was pretty solid. And I think playing on the rotation with Gervon Dexter, with Andrew Billings is going to keep him fresh.
Right.
So he doesn't have to play huge amount of snaps every single game. So I'm a big fan of it because it just further reemphasizes that Ryan Poles is investing in the trenches a lot this offseason. Like, he doesn't care, about the money. Like, he's willing to finally invest big time money in some of these players, which he wasn't really doing that in previous off seasons. Besides for, Nate Davis is the main guy I can think of, and like Montez Sweat obviously too. But we haven't really went after too many, defensive line like big names last couple seasons. So I think it's just a really good signing, to add more beef to the interior, add more veteran leadership too. I think a guy like Gervon Dexter can learn a lot playing next to him. So I'm a big fan. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Phil, your thoughts on the Jarrett signing and the production that he's expected to bring on this defensive line?
I honestly, you took the words out of my mouth with the mentor thing with Gervon Dexter. I think that's a really underrated aspect of it. I think that's something that I feel like that might be something that Ben Johnson likes to do. I think that he might like to, like when he sees great potential in somebody. It's almost like what they did with Monty and Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit, where they drafted Gibbs, but like they brought in Monty to like kind of keep pace Gibbs and make sure that he wasn't wearing himself out and also kind of teach him the ropes. So I think that Gervon Dexter can learn a lot from Grady Jarrett. And I was curious though. I was wondering what you guys thought about where he would play more, and would it be the 3 or the 1? Is he going to play more instead of Gervon or next to him?
That's a great question. I think there will be a rotation where I think Dexter will probably be more asked to play 1, and then Jarrett will probably play 3 when they're in the four down linemen, perhaps.
I could see that.
And then Andrew Billings could be a nose tackle, right? And then that's a one technique. Is that a one technique position that Billings play? Okay, yes. So one technique. Okay, so there will be, I think, a lot of guys rotating in there, but I think because of the size, I could see Dexter and then maybe Billings playing that 1 position more often. I think Jarrett will play 3 initially. And I think that a lot of that is very much interchangeable because, when Billings is out on the rundown, you could probably plug in, maybe Dexter and then allow Grady to, blitz up the middle or up, or apply more pressures or something like that. What do you guys think?
I agree with that. I think, honestly, all the guys could play anywhere. I mean, even Andrew Billings has capabilities as a pass rusher. Like, he had a pretty solid pressure percentage last year, right? So even he could rush the passer. I think that's pretty nice because you keep the offensive line kind of guessing, and you keep guys fresh. You in case of injury, you have guys that can play anywhere. So I think all of these guys have the ability to really play anywhere. But I'd still think that Gervon Dexter, I kind of want him to be the 3 technique more because he has more explosive ability than any of the other guys. Like Grady Jarrett, he's really good, but he's getting older. Andrew Billings is also pretty old. So I think in terms of athleticism, Gervon Dexter is the best athlete we have. And he even played some edge, I think a couple years ago, right? Like, I don't think he played much last year, but like his rookie year, he played edge. And I think Penei Sewell, like he had a pass rush win. Like, so that was pretty solid. So I wonder if they want to even try Gervon at edge. Right. It's going to be up to Dennis Allen what he wants to do.
Absolutely. I think, again, we'll get to that draft question in a moment, but, at least they'll have some flexibility to play around with this signings today because, they needed to upgrade the trenches on both sides. It looks like Ryan Poles seemed to have finally gotten that message this offseason after fooling around a little bit, and or that 10-game losing streak from last season really broke us all, unfortunately. So, but at least, even though those pessimistic fans has to be really, really, really excited about what the Bears did this the first day. Pretty much they did it all. They took care of all the businesses, and now basically at this point, with not too many money left on the salary cap because of all the 3 signings today, now they're pretty much in the, I wouldn't want to say basement shopping, or just bargain hunting. Yeah. So now the question becomes, so what other position that do the Bears need to upgrade? So for me, I would have to think that if there are cheap veteran available, maybe that wide receiver number 3 has to be a position of need for Chicago. Phil, what other position do you think that the Bears need to target? Is wide receiver number 3 your number one target, or is there another position or player that you think this guy would help the Bears?
If Ben Johnson really believes in a fullback like he says he does, I think that would probably be right now at the top, just because I don't want to see Doug Kramer back there again, man.
You don't want to see him?
Look, I'll do. What's that?
What makes you say that? You don't want to see him again?
I don't know. Just an itch. I can't quite put my finger on it or my hand on it.
By the way, speaking of fullback, guys, just a breaking news: Kyle Juszczyk just got released.
Shit! What the?
Hey, run it!
Bro,
run it!
Get it.
Hey, I spoke that shit into existence. Let's go. Sign his ass.
Imagine Cole signs him right now, just like Grady Jarrett. That'd be crazy if we get a signing.
Cole's watching the pod.
Imagine. Oh my god!
He basically just got released. What time was this? Just now, I think 9:09. So about 20 minutes ago. Yeah.
Let's go. Shit,
yeah. This is I was just speaking to existence since we were talking about this, but I mean,
okay, well, fullback is still a minor role though. So wide receiver 3 is a need. I'd like to see if Tyler Scott can compete for that position, but I'd like a veteran there. Hollywood Brown is someone I really like the idea of. Don't know.
Hollywood Brown, unfortunately, I think he signed a 1-year $11 to return with Kansas City. Yeah, he did, because this was shortly after Xavier Worthy got arrested over the weekend.
Oh, well.
Right. By the way, Xavier Worthy's charges have been dropped. So,
well, hey, that's good. I'm glad. I don't want to see anybody get in trouble. I hope everybody's okay. But
right. Sign his ass. There he goes.
Yes. Get him, King Bulls. Get him.
Yeah.
Get him, boy.
Rishab, who do you have? What position or any player that you're like, I think the Bears could use this guy?
I'm trying to think of who's available. Like, in terms of positions, I think running back definitely is a position we need help at. But that could also, I think that's more the NFL draft. I don't really see
exactly. That's more of a draft thing.
Yeah, like I know Najee Harris is available, but I'm not really a big Najee Harris fan. Like, I don't think he'd be that good here in Chicago. So yeah, running back we need, but not via free agency. We could still use another offensive tackle. I feel like a swing tackle, because Larry Borom is not on the roster anymore, I think, right? Like, he didn't. Yeah,
he just signed with Miami. And speaking of
Miami?
Najee Harris, he just signed a 1-year deal with Chargers.
What?
There you go. Okay, so wow. I thought
Larry Borom, I think, is leaving to join the Miami Dolphins.
Wow. You know what contract?
Claypool.
I don't know. Maybe he's just a 1-year guy. I think. Yeah. Or yeah. Oh, here we go. This is an interesting one. So Tom Pelissero is reporting that former Bears, James Daniel to the Dolphins, and then Larry Borom is also
no way.
Damn, Kevin Jenkins signed there too.
Kevin, there you go. Cody Whiter signed
Claypool resigned.
So yeah,
Mhm.
it's a fury happening right now. But
Any comments to Bears fans? How it's 18 comments. I'm sure all of them are just shitting on him. But yeah, definitely offensive tackle. We need I'm honestly not sure who's like the best free agent available there. But like
yeah, it's
besides
always
that,
the big guys, and basically, and then the second wave, the third waves are basically like a lot of veterans who are just kind of like sitting out, waiting for the jobs to be available. Like veteran pass rushers like Yannick Ngakoue, basically just waiting for the opportunities to come up. Like 1-year deals here and there, pretty much moving forward and stuff like that. So yeah, that would be a pretty interesting move. Offensive line certainly needs we could use more depth. I think Dan Skipper, who is a free agent with the Lions, obviously knows Ben Johnson's system. I don't think it will cost him more than $2 million to get him. Elijah Moore, who was a disappointment with the Browns, I think coming out of Purdue, would be a pretty good signing, as a number 3 receiver. Young, I think he's still 24. I think, he could add a bit of a speed element for the Bears that was kind of missing. Alejandro had a question here. Do you think we need another strong cornerback to complement Johnson? Let me see. Well, Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, and then you have Kyler Gordon, who should be up for an extension right now. Phil, do you like the idea of maybe giving Tyreek Stevenson another shot, considering all the shit that he had to deal with last year, or do you kind of agree with Alejandro here?
I would like to see if Dennis Allen can get a better stranglehold on Tyreek Stevenson's talent than Matt Eberflus did. I think after what we know about how Matt Eberflus ranked overall in the NFL, according to players last year, that we had about the worst coaching staff possible for a guy like Tyreek Stevenson. I think now we got Al Harris in the room. Al Harris is going to make those dudes – they're going to fight like dogs. I'm excited to see – I would actually alter your question, Alejandro. I think the real interesting battle is between Terrell Smith and Tyreek Stevenson. I really think that they're both starting caliber, or at least they have starting potential. And I think that they both have different strengths and weaknesses, and I'm really excited to see them go at it. Hopefully they start them for a couple of preseason games and give them extended reps to see who's really got it. Because I think that Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon are safe. And honestly, I think Kyler Gordon's going to have a huge year. So honestly, I don't feel bad. I feel pretty good about the DB room. We re-signed Josh Blackwell, special teams demon, and Packers destroyer, Josh Blackwell. But yeah, so I think we're good in the DB room, personally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Rishab, do you agree with that assessment?
I agree with what you guys said. I think if anything, we could draft one maybe like in the later rounds, but I don't think we really need
more like a depth development type to kind of like.
Yeah, like I'm honestly, like Phil said, like I'm kind of still optimistic about Tyreek Stevenson. Like with better coaching, I think he could be a much better player. Like his rookie year was actually like really solid rookie year, especially in the second half. So especially with the better pass rush, which the Bears kind of lacked pass rush in the second half of last year. I think he could be better, and I think he just needs some time to put the Hail Mary incident behind him, because that probably like also messed with his mind the whole last season. Like everybody like tagging him in that and like making fun of him for that, and he just needs like some hard coaching too. Flus was way too soft of a coach.
Yeah,
like Phil said, Al Harris is gonna definitely keep him a lot more accountable than Flus did.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's turn our attention to the rest of the league. Obviously, the Bears weren't the only teams that were, very furious and busy tonight. So let's start with the, from the very top. Let's see, Arizona. Now, this is a big signing that they made, obviously. Josh Sweat, 4 years, $76.4 million. I know a lot of people were, we're poo-pooing on Dayo Odeyingbo signing, and the Bears would have wanted to see, many fans were kind of wanted to see the, Josh Sweat signing with the, the Bears. rather than elsewhere. If you had, you probably wanted the Josh Sweat more than anybody else on this one, right, guys? If you had to pick and choose, though.
I would say so, yeah. It would have been cool to have like a sweat combination, and
yeah,
it's also like he's playing on the Eagles defensive line, and the Eagles D line is like pretty stacked, so you don't know if it was Sweat being good or the Eagles D line being good, But yeah, I would say it would have been nice.
Phil, what do you think about the Bears missing out on Josh Sweat? Do you think it's you're okay with it, or do you feel like Bears could have at least paid a little bit more?
I guess it depends on what they want. Based on who they signed, but the guy from the Colts, it feels like Josh Sweat maybe wasn't in the mold of the player that Dennis Allen or Ben Johnson wanted from the defensive end. Honestly, for $20 million annually, not to mention what's that?
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I really don't think that I'm not too broken up about not paying that price tag. I think that it would have been a decent chance take, you know what I mean? But the production hasn't really. You're really paying for what you hope he's going to be, and what you're really paying like that you're going to get the Super Bowl Josh Sweat going forward. Because before that, he wasn't really producing at a rate that would demand $20 million annually. So, I think I'm good with the fact that we missed out on him. I think we can get an edge in the, another edge prospect in the draft with one of our top 3 picks. So, if we have to go need, I think we can still go edge, tackle and either wide receiver 3 or running back with our first 3 picks in the draft. So,
okay, that's true. So Ronnie Stanley, 3 years, 60. He didn't hit the market. Of course, the big one, the Josh Allen with the Bills, 6 year, $330 million. I think 200 plus being fully guaranteed on that one.
The Bills in general. All right, did Scrooge McDuck give them a loan?
That is a huge deal there, right there. You think Josh Allen is worth that money, though, guys?
Yeah,
for sure. You have to pay him. Like, what's your other options? Like going back.
Exactly. Yeah, that does make sense there. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's move down a little bit.
Andy Dalton, Bears legend.
Andy Dalton signed, of course, re-signed well before. J.C. Horn, 4 year, $100 million. He's the highest paid corner now. Let's see. They signed Tershawn Wharton from the from the Kansas City Chiefs, 3 year, $54 million. Yeah, they're really beefing up on the both offense and defensive line there. Let's see. Cincinnati, they franchised T. Higgins. Guys, who do you think? What happens to T. Higgins? Do you think he stays, or do you feel like he's still on the move? Phil?
I think he's going to stay. I feel like they're really, really focused on making sure that Joe Burrow stays happy. So I think what they're going to end up doing is just sacrificing everything defensively, and they're just going to try and beat people 55-54 every week, I guess, and just do track meets.
Right.
I'd personally trade T. Higgins or whatever and keep Trey Hendrickson if I was them. But whatever floats their boat. If they think that they can sustain those offensive efforts, then by all means, I think that's not a good way to try and win football games. So,
yeah. Trey Hendrickson, Rishab, do you still feel like the Bears are in it, or do you feel like, as you look and see here, Myles Garrett signed a 4 year, $160 million deal yesterday to stay in Cleveland and pretty much reset the edge market? Do you feel like now he's too expensive for the Bears' taste?
Yeah, for sure. There's no chance, I think, now, especially after signing Odeyingbo. I don't think it would make sense. I don't think the Bears have enough money now. They could push money in the future, but what's our remaining cap space? Like probably $20 million or something like that. So
yeah, close. And then you still have to draft and sign players too. That's included in the salary cap too. So
yeah, we need some depth signings still too. So it would have been nice, but I think he was probably way too expensive for the Bears.
That's true. That is true. Let's see. So the Lions. Let's look at the defensively for the Lions here. They re-signed Derek.
Before we move on, Steven.
Yeah, go ahead, Phil.
Before we move on, I just wanted to say that I think it's really respectable of Cleveland to decide that as a franchise that their philosophy was going to be, well, nobody likes Cleveland, so we're just going to pay everybody 2 times what they're worth. I think it's a very bold strategy for him, and we're going to see if it works out for him, Cotton.
That's true. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to talk with Ken tomorrow because he's a Browns fan. Oh yeah. I feel really, I know Ken's probably conflicted about this whole ordeal because, even with Myles Garrett who's staying for 4 years, because of the awful quarterback situation, you're not going to win much, even after Myles Garrett's contract is, completed. So, yeah, I'm going to delve a little bit more into this situation, of course, tomorrow with Ken Fang from my co-host from the Awful Announcing, who's a notorious Browns fan. All right, so Detroit Lions basically lost Carlton Davis today, who signed with New England, 3 years, $60 million. They got DJ Reed, who came from the Jets, pretty good player, 3 year, $48 million. Pretty much so. Let's see, the Lions, I have a feeling that this is a team that can actually bank on, getting guys like Trey Hendrickson, because you need another pass rusher alongside Aiden Hutchinson. And when you're picking, I think, 28th like they are, this is a type of team, that's still have probably 3 years of maybe 2-3 years of Super Bowl window open. That's when you start to kind of, make those types of moves where giving up a 28th round overall selection isn't going to hurt the team long term. If it's like, say, 3 years of Trey Hendrickson, excuse me. What do you think of the, maybe the Lions? Do you feel like the Lions could be like a sneaky team that where, they get Trey Hendrickson and the Bears were forced to face him twice a year, in your opinion? Phil, let's start with you.
Why are we talking about this? I don't want. No, I'm just kidding. That's my worst nightmare, man. Please don't give me Trey Hendrickson plus Aiden Hutchinson for the next few years. In fact, if you're a Detroit fan and you're listening to this, by law, because we're a rival NFC North team, you must burn this podcast, your copy of it, and you never think of it again. You're not allowed to use this idea. We're going to copy it. I don't want it. It would be a great move by the Lions. I don't want it.
It would be a great move for the Lions because obviously their Super Bowl window is still very much open, even with all the coaching turnovers there. Let's look at the another division rival, Green Bay Packers here. They signed Aaron Banks, 4 years, $77 million. This is a guy that the Bears were maybe looking to sign here if it wasn't for those 2 trades that they made last week to get Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney. Rishab, the Packers are making this move. When you look at the contract, which is like just over $19 million for, a guard who isn't exactly like a household name, but the Bears could have been forced to get into a bidding war. Are you happy now that the Bears got the right guys and maybe the Packers were kind of forced to overpay, which could have been what the Bears could have also ended up paying for themselves?
Yeah, 100%. I think Packers had the worst free agency by far out of any other team in the NFL. I think it's not even close. I mean, if Aaron Banks is not good, like I was really hoping the Bears would not sign him. Like, he's athletic and maybe with proper coaching, he could be good. But to pay him almost $20 million per year is absolutely insane for 4 years. And then Nate Hobbs also, like, I'm not the biggest fan of, right? So
right. I think he's coming off an injury and he's a former Fighting Illini too, of course.
Yeah, like obviously as a former Illini, I'd like him there, but he's not. I don't think he's been great in the NFL, right? So I just think that the Packers did not get much better, and they spent a whole lot of money. They didn't really cover any of their needs. They had a need at the receiver spot. They didn't go out and get DK Metcalf or anybody else. So hopefully they don't get Keenan Allen. Like that just popped into my mind. What if they try to get Keenan Allen? But we'll see what the Packers do. I mean, so far they've had a pretty rough free agency.
I know they could have also gotten a number one wide receiver too, but obviously they failed to get that get them. The Texans got Christian Kirk from the division rival Jacksonville Jaguars, but the shocking one was the Laramie Tunsil trade to the Washington Commanders. Are you familiar with that trade that happened earlier today, guys? The Laramie Tunsil deal. My
It
goodness.
was confounding to me.
Yeah, from a Washington perspective, excuse me, from a Texans perspective, I don't get that one myself because they've already released a starting guard Shaq Mason, who they signed from, I believe, New England a couple of years ago. And, that offense was really, really broken in their second year under, Bobby Slowick, who was fired after being, anointed one of the top up and coming head coaching prospect. But now he is, I don't know where he is right now, but I think he might have gotten a lesser job, maybe like a passing game coordinator, as he tries to rebuild his resume after a disaster with the CJ Stroud, in his second year down there. So Laramie Tunsil obviously became too expensive. Washington, I got to tell you, they're really, really loading it up right now in order to protect Jaden Daniels, considering how close they were, obviously getting to the Super Bowl, and the amount of pressure, that they needed to bolster their line of scrimmage, much like the Bears do, to protect their young quarterback. Us, of course, Caleb Williams, and then the Jaden Daniels for Washington, of course, and so Phil is back here again. So I'm very, very envious of what the Washington is doing with their team right now. Obviously, they're going to be a thorn on the Bears side if the Bears obviously become as good as we all expect them to be under Ben Johnson. It could be like a I don't want to say Brady versus Manning NFC version, but hopefully, the Washington versus Chicago game will be, more and more meaningful moving forward as, both quarterbacks, progress and become what we all expect them to be. Let's see. Jacksonville. This is a team that is like always seem to be spending a lot of money and then always fall short. Patrick McCarry came from the Ravens for 37.5 3 years. That's another offensive lineman that certainly that the Bears could have been involved because of his versatility there. Jordan Lewis, a nickelback from the Dallas Cowboys, joined the Jacksonville today. 3-year, $30 million. That could be kind of like the baseline for Kyler Gordon extension. Although I do believe maybe Gordon could get a little more of the money compared to Jordan Lewis because Gordon's a little more younger. I would say maybe 3-4 years, let's just say $48 to $50 million would be the baseline for Kyler Gordon's extension for those who will be interested. Now the Chiefs, obviously, the franchise tag, Trey Smith, damn it. Nick Bolton, the linebacker who they drafted out of Missouri a couple of years ago. A mainstay on that defense, 3-year, $45 million. Somewhat of an overpay for some people. They signed Jalen Moore, who's a somewhat of a swing tackle, backup tackle from the San Francisco 49ers for 2 years, $30 million. A bit of an overpay in the eyes of many people. Okay, so here's the Las Vegas Raiders. They traded for Geno Smith from the Seahawks. They also retained Max Crosby for 3 years, $106.5 million. Of course, that was eclipsed by Myles Garrett, I think, a day or two later. Guys, Geno Smith to Las Vegas, obviously Pete Carroll connection. I think Pete Carroll, obviously, because he's, 74 or something like that. He doesn't have time for a rebuild. What do you think about this move? Rishab, Geno Smith to Las Vegas. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I think it's definitely good for the Raiders, to get him for only a 3rd-round pick. But at the same time, you're probably not going to win a Super Bowl in that division.
Yeah.
Smith is not going to compete with Patrick Mahomes most likely, but he definitely raises the floor of the Raiders a lot. How bad their previous quarterbacks have been. And with Pete Carroll, like he needs somebody that he could win right now with. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited to see their offense actually. Like they have, some pretty solid pieces now on that offense. And I feel like the Seahawks, it didn't really make much sense for them to go from him to Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold had overpaying him based off one really good season. So pretty good acquisition for the Raiders, I'd say.
Okay, and now staying with the AFC West, the Chargers, obviously the big news, they kept Khalil Mack. Phil, 1 year, $18 million. Do you feel like the Bears could have been in this one, or do you feel this is a massive overpay for Mack?
I mean, a 1 year deal, I love 1 year deals because there's no risk. There's zero risk. Paying him this year. I mean, yeah, sure. I guess it takes a piece of the cap this year, right? But after this year, it's whatever. So you're done. So I think that's a great deal for him. If that's, I wish I wish I would have known if 18 and a half would have got it done. But but I also understand that he's older. He's due to fall off at some point. Not everybody's Tom Brady.
Right. And that may have happened last year too.
I won't do any allegations here. I won't give anybody any fake crimes right now. So I sorry about that. It was LeBron James. It was him. He doesn't age. Gotcha. He doesn't age. Right. He drives me crazy. Yeah. But anyways,
that's true.
I getting back on track. Redirect me, Steven, please. I'm so
okay.
sorry.
No, was that $18 million for 1 year? Is that an overpay? Do you think, even if the Bears were paying that much?
No. I mean, no. I would have been stoked. 1 year, I'm good.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so the Rams here, they managed to keep Matthew Stafford, even though there was a bit of a drama involving him shopping around, talking to Vegas and then the New York Giants, but he eventually restructured his contract. The big one, of course, is Davante Adams finally coming back to Southern California, where he's well, not Southern California, but he's from the Northern California area. He's back in Cali, signing a 2-year, $46 million to sign with the Rams. That obviously makes Cooper Kupp basically a cap casualty and will likely be released. I don't think nobody's giving up a draft pick for Kupp at this point in time. The Dolphins, of course,
a lot.
Oh, Cooper Kupp
as our wide receiver 3.
Yeah,
I think he would be a great wide receiver 3.
The problem, of course, has been he hasn't stayed healthy, and that's one of the reasons why Rams are like, you could go seek a trade elsewhere, which I think in most cases it's kind of hard to fathom a team would say, yeah, listen, go look somewhere else when you're still under a contract, because I think that they basically know that they're going to have to likely release you. And if you get like a low 5th or 6th round pick for an accomplished guy like Cooper Kupp, I mean, they're like, yeah, hey, we got a bonus. That's a bonus pick, we'll take it.
I think a 5th is a fleece. I would feel like we got fleeced if they got a 5th out of us. A 6th or a 7th to keep them like off the market. I kind of like that.
We'll see. I mean, if Cooper Kupp does end up getting released, he becomes free to sign elsewhere, and it doesn't cost you any draft capitals. And I know a lot of people are like, we're giving up a draft capital again for a veteran. Obviously, Ryan Poles' trade history doesn't give some people, not encouraged by that, of course. But we'll see. Cooper Kupp could become a free agent, I think, by Wednesday, by the New Year's. There is tomorrow, of course, for the trade to be made. But we'll see. If Cooper Kupp becomes available, I think you could definitely see somebody take a chance on him, maybe the Bears, on an incentive-laden contract for an accomplished but injured receiver like Cooper Kupp here.
How much would he cost? What does the contract for Cooper Kupp look like?
I don't know, maybe 1 year, 5.5.
I think it'd be a little bit more, honestly. Like that's why I feel like the Bears are not going to go after him because like so many teams need receiver help. Where I feel like a team like the Panthers or like some other team are just going to overpay him like a little bit too much. Like,
Right.
I think it might be like who was the guy on the Rams? Like he got 10 million. What's up?
Tutu Atwell.
Yeah, Tutu Atwell got 10 million for 1 year, which is insane. Like if he got 10 million,
he's such a patriot.
Oh yeah,
like
Patriots
is like he's like
million?
the perfect person that would go there. Like he reminds me of Wes Welker and like
like great route runner
like
when he's healthy.
A better version of those dudes with Drake May.
Well, yeah, New England definitely needs a wide receiver, of course.
They've been aggressive. They've been aggressive to start this free agency, actually, which is weird. I feel like Bill never got this aggressive on day one.
Right. Now look at the other, let's see, NFC North team. Aaron Jones retained for 2 year, $20 million. They haven't signed anybody notable yet, although that could change because I know Jonathan Allen, who was released by Washington, visited the team. As of right now, I don't think we haven't heard anybody saying Allen is joining the Minnesota Vikings at this point. This is a team, of course. Obviously, Sam Darnold money is being redirected to keeping center Ryan Kelly. That was another target for the Bears if Dalman was either staying with the Falcons or if he was too expensive. 2 year, $18 million.
Second best Vikings.
Right.
Sorry.
Now here's New England Patriots. This is a big one. The guy that I was kind of really interested, Milton Williams, 4 years, $104 million deal. Holy fuck. This is super. That's $26 million for a guy who had 2 sacks in the Super Bowl win against the Chiefs, of course. He and Montez Sweat was just basically, kicking KC's, ass all day, unfortunately, for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then, as I was mentioning earlier, Carlton Davis, 3 year, $60 million coming from Detroit. Harold Landry, that's another edge rusher that the Tennessee Titans has released. I think he's more of a 3-4 guy, perhaps, but, played for Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. That connection really came strong. 3 year, $43.5 million as a guy who was released and was ready to sign anywhere else as well.
Who signed the Ghost Tonga?
Who?
They signed the Ghost Tonga.
The Bears, one-time Bear.
Bears legend.
Patriot there. Yeah.
Bears legend. Come on.
Morgan Moses from the Jets. Yeah. A barefooted receiver, as we all know, Matt Collins coming from Buffalo to join the division rival there. Josh Hobbs, 2 year, $8 million coming from, I believe, Vikings. Joe Milton now becomes suddenly available now. That's interesting. Here's the New Orleans Saints. This came off the wire. Chase Young, the Bears target. He is staying with the New Orleans, 3 years, $51 million. That's, well, I mean, I think it's a good deal. It's only $1 million. Yeah, $1 million over Dayo Odeyingbo. I think Young is I think similar age. Obviously, I think he's 1 year younger. No, I'm sorry. He was drafted in 2020 as an underclassman, so same age as Dayo. Obviously, with Young. Yep. He is talented, but he's got so much injuries on history. And he's already kind of bounced around going from, Washington to San Francisco to New Orleans. He also had a neck surgery, I believe, shortly after he signed with the Saints. So I'm very curious to see, how Chase Young will, play now without Dennis Allen. I know Allen and Young connection was there when the free agency began here. The New York Giants, of course, this is an interesting, day for them. Darius Slayton re-signed with them. Tommy DeVito's back for 1 year, just over $1 million. Paulson Adebo, who missed almost the entire season with the New Orleans Saints. I think it was a fractured leg or something. 3 year, $54. Former Bear Roy Robertson Harris, who was released from the the Seattle Seahawks. 2 years, $9 million. The New York
Isn't that
Jets.
the saddest re-signing in a sign that you ever seen in your life? That was terrible for a team that's really bad. That's what the
You talking about
Giants did.
DeVito? You talking about DeVito?
I mean, the whole thing, but yeah, I mean, well, DeVito's cool. Oh, yeah, you know, like he's the NFL's mob man. He's gonna whack you, you know, the cool way, not that way, guys. Chill, chill.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the saddest list of players of 8 players that you signed
Right.
day one of free agency. Day one,
Probably
Haul.
a number 3 at best anyway, unfortunately. All right, here's the Jets. Of course, it's the big one. Justin Fields, 2 years, $40 million.
Yeah,
good for Justin. Do you guys feel that Justin kind of got a raw deal in Pittsburgh, Rishab?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I don't know why they got rid of Fields as a starter. Honestly, like it didn't make any sense to me. Like even if Russell Wilson was a better,
why?
Yeah, 6th round pick.
They robbed our pick.
Yeah,
but, and that 6th round pick thankfully became Jones Jackson, by the way.
Because of that, now they just wasted a 6th round pick because they're not even keeping Justin Fields for long term. Like they should have actually saw what they had in him and started him the whole season. And like it seems like they're pivoting to Aaron Rodgers now. So like it ended up not being a good deal for them, the Steelers.
Right. Do you think this is a good gamble for the Jets, Phil? Do you think this is a good gamble?
I think it's well. First of all, we have to note that it is the funniest gamble. Okay, it is a great move by the Jets. I think it's a great move. I think Justin still got. I think there's a lot of meat on the bone, man. If you're gonna, there's a team that needs to commit to Justin Fields. Like we didn't. I mean, we kind of like we half-ass committed to him, but like he got picked by a lame duck head coach and a lame duck GM, and that doomed him because the lame duck GM that had us in cap hell, and we had no draft capital, so we had to tear the team down. I mean, it's not just happened here. And then he went to Pittsburgh, and it felt like he's a victim of politics there because of draft capital. And I mean, I don't really know, man. It's hard for me to believe that you can watch Justin Fields and watch Russell Wilson and say in 2024 that Justin Fields didn't give you a better chance to win. Just the chance to make electric plays happen out of nowhere it's a very invaluable trait, and everyone discounts it in at quarterback. But we'll see if that keeps happening because it feels like the running quarterback is finally shutting this kind of stuff up. But like, I would love to see New York actually commit to him. But again, But at the end of the day, this is the quarterback the New York Jets should have drafted.
Right.
They just would have drafted
instead of Zach Wilson.
Fields instead of Zach Wilson. They got cute. They went for Zach Wilson from BYU, and he was a bum. And then they went for the world's most famous LSD dropper, and Aaron Rodgers. And they could have just drafted Justin Fields for all of his faults as a quarterback. Yeah. He's going to be a good dude. He's going to show up. He's going to put in the work. He's going to lead your team. And none of the crap that they dealt with the last few years would have likely happened. So it's just funny. It's a total Jets thing to do.
We wish all the best for Justin, as he gets a new lease on life in New York. The Eagles obviously they have lost a lot of players, but they managed to retain Zach Bond, the defensive player of the year candidate, 3-year $51, great money for Vic Fangio's defense. The big one, of course, Saquon resigning for 2-year $41.2 million. Here's a big one for Pittsburgh. Traded for DK Metcalf last night, basically from the Seahawks for 2nd-round pick and a swap of a couple of late rounds next year. 5-year, $150 contract. Well, this is an interesting move, because you got the nutcase in George Pickens, and then, DK Metcalf obviously is not a head case, of course. But if they do end up signing Aaron Rodgers, like some people are rumored to be, guys, boy, I got to tell you, I don't know how in the world does Mike Tomlin even be able to keep his sanity.
That'd be really entertaining to watch as a not a fan of that team.
Oh man, I respect the Steelers for their consistency and stability all these years. With Chuck, that Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. I think obviously this is a huge move. They've been rather quiet the last couple of years. They really need to make a deep playoff run now, no matter who's at the quarterback there. So I really like the gamble that the Steelers are making here, acquiring DK Metcalf. 49ers are basically losing players, a lot of them. Travarius Ward left to sign a 3-year, $60 million deal with the Colts today. Kyle Juszczyk, of course, just was released.
There.
Bam. Yeah. We'll see. But, they finished 6-11 last year. They still have Brock Purdy to sign. He's like, geez, I can't think of Brock Purdy making $50 million or even close to that money right now. But that's not a pipe dream, guys. That's actually likely to happen.
He's got a rocket for an arm, man. Rocket.
I don't know. I don't know if Purdy has a rocket of an arm, but I think he's definitely a best fit for like the West Coast offense that they like to throw. The intermediate, maybe shorter passes that suits Purdy there. So maybe the 49ers are probably forced to overpay for him. Now here's Seahawks, of course, the big one. Sam Darnold, 3-year, $105 million. Guys, I don't know what the hell Seahawks are trying to do. They've released Tyler Lockett, which obviously led to DK Metcalf demanding he wants out of Seattle. They traded him to Pittsburgh. There are so many question marks with the Seahawks right now. Of course, they traded Geno Smith to facilitate that move. Guys, I don't know if I know. I mean, they finished 10-7 and missed the playoffs, but I can't even tell if they're trying to blow this up and rebuild, or they're just basically starting over. What do you make of this one?
I don't know, man. Like I think they're trying to win now, but also like keep the team young. But like all the moves they made are not going to help them win now. Like
no, not at all, not at all.
I think they just kind of want their own guys. Like if you look at the new coach there, he probably didn't like DK Metcalf's maybe personality or whatever, and like you probably want to go younger than Geno Smith. So
right,
it's kind of hard to say. Yeah,
it's hard. Bucks today they retained Chris Godwin, 3-year, $66 million. Man, that's an overpay for a guy who came off an injury. Hassan Reddick, 1 year, $14 million. Now, this is a guy I would have been really, really interested in if the Bears were interested in it. Reddick was a sack machine with the Eagles, and then he botched the contract negotiation, fired the agent, forced himself out of Eagles and go to the Jets. I believe that the whole thing is just really screwed up, and he really lost his value there. Thankfully, he obviously got a 1-year deal, due to super agent Drew Rosenhaus, of course. And, he got $14 million out of it. He began, I think, his career with the Cardinals, played for Carolina. So, let's see if Reddick can retain his value after being in a terrible, terrible situation. Tennessee, my goodness, look at this. Dan Moore Jr., 4-year, $82 million. Thank God the Bears were not even in this guy. Thank goodness, right? My God, he's a Steelers free agent. The Steelers offensive line ain't that good, and the fact that they let him go and say, "Yeah, go ahead and hit the free agency," and my God, over $20 million. Jesus Christ, get the fuck out of here! My goodness.
Tell him, Steven. Don't let him off the hook.
Here's Washington, of course. They made a trade for Deebo Samuel on, I believe, when was this? I remember this because I was at the Combine last Saturday. And then, March 1st. And then this was actually the trade that was announced on a Jumbotron inside Lucas Oil Stadium while it was happening. Deebo Samuel. And then Laramie Tunsil, of course, they was acquired from the Texans today as well. Bobby Wagner back for 1 year. Zach
Great.
Ertz back for one more year. And then Javon Kinlaw, my God, this was an overpay by many people. You know, he was drafted, I think, first round by the 49ers, went to the Jets, and really didn't do much. And then, you know, they let go Jonathan Allen to get Javon Kinlaw for $15 million a year. But, of course, the big one, of course, is the Deebo Samuel trade. Guys, let's start with you, Phil. Do you think Deebo Samuel still has something left, or do you feel like this is basically a salary dump that, by the 49ers and Washington just didn't care much about the price or the production?
I think, you know, it's hard to say with Deebo. There was a lot of cooks in the kitchen in San Francisco.
Right. Brandon
and
Ayuk and CMC, yeah, those guys, of course, yes.
Yeah, Kittle. You know, they fed their running backs. You know, Kyle Shanahan ran the ball. So it's easy to see that, you know, you could definitely theorize that Deebo Samuel might be a bigger star now that he's on the Commanders, and, you know, like he's got Scary Terry over there, but it's still, though, it seems like it's going to be more just like the Deebo, Terry, and Jaden Daniels, and then Robinson. I think it was Robinson in the backfield.
Right? Brian Robinson. Yeah,
that's right, Brian Robinson. And so, I mean, they have, you know, less guys. I guess they have Zach Ertz. I'm not gonna lie, the Laramie Tunsil thing kind of I think they overpaid for him, but that he is supposed to be a great player. I know that the Texans gave up 55 sacks last year, or 58 sacks. With him playing left tackle, but that's one. He's one guy on a 5-man offensive line, and also coaching staff and all those different things that go into a quarterback getting sacked. So I know that Tunsil's a good player. So you know, I guess I didn't realize that Jaden Daniels had also been sacked 40 something times last year, so they needed some more protection for him. So I just wish they'd go away, though. Commanders are my new favorite team to hate.
Because of last year.
Because of the Hail Mary.
They're going to be good. You know, hopefully the Bears will be very good enough to face Washington and get even with those, Commanders, because obviously the Hail Mary and everything. All right.
I need it.
Guys, let's wrap this up. I know Alejandro was asking questions about the 10th pick overall today regarding let me put up the question here. What are you considering all the teams are making it within the top 10 picks right now? So does today's free agency alter the Bears' plan at 10th pick overall? Phil, let me start with you. Do you think what happened today alter any plans, or do you feel like the Bears still kind of need to stick with the building through trenches because of the the age and the age of some of the players that they signed today?
I think that today actually did change plans at 10. I think when you get Drew Dalman, and then not only that, but you also get a D tackle in Grady Jarrett, like a quality veteran who's still in, like, I mean, 30 is not a spring chicken, but he's not over the hill by any means. 30's not that bad. So he still has good football left in him. I could see that. So I could see why, like, if a guy like Mason Graham might have been in the plans before, or if you might have thought about him before, I highly doubt that that's the same way now. Although, I mean, geez, can you imagine if you draft Mason Graham onto the D-line? That'd be amazing. But embarrassment of riches on the D-line would be nice for once. But I really think that this sets up the Bears for the potential to draft Ashton Jeanty. I know it's an unpopular choice for some people. I know that the value isn't what it's supposed to be for a player that you're drafting in the top 10. But here's my thing: if you score, if he's a top 10 touchdown scorer in the NFL for the next 4 seasons, how is that not worth it? I mean, touchdowns win games, points win games. Guys getting into the end zone wins games. So if Ashton Jeanty is going to break tackles in the NFL like he did in the NCAA, then I don't think anybody should be complaining. And I don't think, anyone that is going to stop as soon as he gets a handoff and takes it to the house. So,
Rishab, do you feel in agreement that Ashton Jeanty now looks like a strong choice, or do you feel like, maybe the Bears could still continue to add more on both sides of the trenches.
I agree with Phil. I think it's a really realistic possibility now because I feel like Ashton Genty is the only one that could start right away. Besides for Mason Graham, like maybe obviously he could start right away, but like out of all the picks the Bears could make, I don't really even see one that could start right away because the Bears have, starters already everywhere basically, right? Like that's why going hard in free agency like was such a good thing for Ryan Poles because now it opens up the options to really go after Ashton Genty if you want to. So I personally think that the Bears are actually targeting Ashton Genty, like with the moves they made and Ben Johnson, like being used to having two really good backs in Detroit. I think it would make a lot of sense. So yeah,
right. I'm going to go the contrarian. I'm kind of still leaning towards the fact that maybe the Bears could trade down a little bit and then get more picks to, build that offensive line or defensive line. The depth is there. One thing to remember, guys, is that the guys who signed today, they got a 3-year deal, all of them. Now, that's basically in the same timeline as, I think, Caleb's rookie deal. So
our Super Bowl window.
Yes. Well, Caleb is still very much young, but once Caleb signs a similar contract, say that we were just discussing about Josh Allen, God forbid, maybe, God forbid, I hope it doesn't come to that just yet. Maybe like say 5-year 255 or 260. That is a realistic possibility if Caleb Williams does reach his potential under, Ben Johnson. Now, if that becomes a reality, the Bears are going to have to start drafting, young offensive linemen, defensive linemen pretty much every year, like Howie Roseman has done with the Philadelphia Eagles, just to basically, get under the cap. Maybe after 2 years, you're basically telling, maybe Drew Dalman, okay, we don't need you anymore because we already have a center that we drafted and is ready to take over. Maybe Odeyingbo, maybe, they could just get out of the, salary because they found a more productive pass rushers, either in this year's draft or next year. Grady Jarrett, he's 32 years old, who knows when this his body starts to break up. Speaking of the guys who's 32 or 33, the same thing can be said about Joe Thuney, even though I think he definitely has at least 3 to 4 years of high-level football, play left in his tank, kind of like Trent Williams, where he's with the Washington Commanders, who's playing still at a high level at, 36, 37 as an offensive tackle. So that's kind of like what you want out of it. And then, but at the same time,
Peters.
Exactly. You could right. And you could just pull the rug on these big, expensive contracts if and when Caleb becomes, the ones that who will sign a big contract now. When it's all said and done, I think there's a double-edged sword to that because if that means Caleb is one of the best quarterbacks that in the league. But at the same time, quarterbacks does get most money, which does impact the salary cap on other players. You ended up losing. So I still like the idea of trading down maybe, and then if they don't trade the first round, maybe they could take Ahmad Membo, or maybe trade down and get another tackle, maybe get a defensive tackle, or maybe another young edge rusher. Maybe and then the 2 second rounders, maybe they could do the same thing. So that's how I still see it. Maybe the second rounders, maybe we could use that on a running back that are available. I know this is a very deep running draft. Even if you cannot get Ashton Genty at 10, or if let's just say Raiders draft him because, Pete Carroll wants his Marshawn Lynch or something. That could still be a possibility. The Cowboys could jump up and get Genty because he's from he's a local kid from Texas. So there are a lot of possibilities. So I'm kind of leaning maybe towards sticking to building that trenches because of the age and depth problems that the Bears have had last year. All right, guys, any final words, Phil?
No, I just hope to ask him. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I hope Ashton Genty does an interview so he won't get fined. because that'd be a really cool shout out to Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch special there, right there. Rishab, any final words?
No, man, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I honestly kind of want Ash and Genty to happen now, just talking about it, because I just feel like it'd be so cool. Like
meatball.
Yeah. 1,000.
Listen, I'm not going to complain too much if Ash and Genty does end up joining the Chicago Bears. I think you could still draft Genty at 10, and then maybe fill the the offensive line and the defensive line with their second round picks. Of course, it would be either way. It's not something that I think the Bears fans will be screaming or complaining about too much there. All right, thank you very much, folks. Rishab had to go. I apologize. Phil, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you to everybody joining us. More than 1,000 people who joined us tonight. Thank you as always. A reminder, tomorrow night I'm doing a live stream with my co-host Ken Fang. Our guest tomorrow night is Lily Zhao, from Fox Milwaukee, a sports reporter. We're going to get her perspective on the Green Bay Packers as well as the NFC North, and then also talk about the upcoming baseball season with the Milwaukee Brewers, who's in the same division as the Cubs in the NL Central. Phil, thanks as always for joining me tonight. Thank you for staying late. And listen, you have a podcast tomorrow night, correct?
I do. I'm going to be filming my first podcast episode tomorrow night. So it'll be posted shortly after that. The first episode is with Jacob Infante, famed Chicago Bears, and also just in general draft expert. Good. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited. The podcast is called Professionally Profane, and if you know Jacob Infante, you know that he can do both of those things. So
absolutely. I was with Jacob and his family last week during NFL Combine. Please say hi to them, Jacob, tomorrow night. Make sure to follow Phil for if you're a Bears fan wanting to talk exclusively about the draft. Make sure to follow Phil and his podcast tomorrow night on his X and also on his YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Steven.
We'll see you again next time on the Double 18 podcast live stream. Join us tomorrow night for me and Ken's regular live stream. Good night, everybody.